Hello students, today we are going to discuss electronic displacement effect. In that topic we will discuss in detail inductive effect. So let's say first of all we have to discuss what is electronic displacement effect, that is EDE. What is this? Suppose let's say, how can we define this? It is slight or complete displacement or shifting of electrons in a molecule which produce temporary or permanent polarity in the molecule. Means if due to any reason there is slight or complete displacement or shifting of electrons in a molecule, so that molecule gain some sort of polarity, then that effect will be known as electronic displacement effect. What does it mean? Let's say, first of all actually we have to know what is polarity. So let's say, what is polarity? See, whenever there is a covalent bond formation, then the logic is two atoms, let's say the atoms are A and B, they have to share one electron or two electron or three electron. But let's take the simplest case. Suppose they are sharing one electron, then there will be formation of a single bond in them. This covalent bond can be of two types. It can be a non-polar covalent bond, or it can be a polar covalent bond. Let's say there is a molecule formation between two hydrogen atoms, means each hydrogen has donated one electron and there is a equal sharing of electrons, so there is a formation of a covalent bond. Now electronegativity of both the hydrogens are same. Obviously they are same atom of an element, so their electronegativity is same or identical. So there will be equal forces or equal sort of force working on this bond pair from the both the sides. Means this hydrogen will pull this in this way and this hydrogen will pull this bond pair in this way, but the force will be equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So we can say net force will be 0. So the bond pair will remain exactly in the middle of the molecule. In that sense, the hold of the atoms on these two electrons will be same. So these atoms will not develop any partial or complete charges. So we will call it a non-polar covalent bond. On the other hand, let's say there is a formation of a covalent bond or a covalent molecule between H and Cl, that is the molecule of hydrogen chloride. Now the electronegativity of hydrogen is less than the electronegativity of chlorine. means the electron pulling power of chlorine is greater than the electron pulling power of hydrogen. Basically, electronegativity is the relative tendency of an atom to attract bonded pair of electrons towards itself. So we can say electronegativity of chlorine is greater than electronegativity of hydrogens. Means chlorine will attract or pull the bonded pair of electron towards itself more as compared to hydrogens. Means the force exerted by hydrogen will be lesser in magnitude, but the force exerted by the chlorine will be greater in the magnitude. So there will be a net force working towards chlorine atom. This will be the direction of net force. Means the electron pair, the bonded electron pair won't reside exactly in the middle of the molecule. It will shifted, it will partially shifted towards chlorine. So we can say the electron density towards chlorine atom will increase. The electron density towards chlorine atom will increase, means the chlorine will bear some more negative charge as compared to hydrogen. So the net effect will be, the effect of this will be that chlorine will get partial negative charge and hydrogen will gain a partial positive charge. Means we can represent this molecule as this, in this way. So we can say hydrogen will acquire a partial positive charge and chlorine will acquire a partial negative charge. So there is development of partial charges, or we can say the molecule has divided into two parts. There is a positive pole and there is a negative pole. Means the molecule is acting as a dipole. If I have to represent this molecule in the simplest possible manner, then I can represent like this. There will be a positive part and there will be a negative part. So this molecule is acting as a dipole, and in that sense the covalent bond will be known as polar covalent bond. Or we can say that the molecule of hydrogen chloride has acquired a partial polarity. Partial polarity because there is not completely shifting of electrons from one atom to the another atom. In some cases, like in case of delocalization, there can be complete shifting or complete displacement of electron pair from one atom to the another atom. So the electron pair get shifted completely to a particular atom. That atom will acquire a full negative charge, and the atom from which the electron pairs are coming will acquire a full positive charge. In that case, we will call that molecule as a completely polar covalent compound or a completely polar molecule. So means what we have learned so far, that polarity is the development of partial or complete charges in a molecule due to some phenomena. That phenomena can be change in electronegativity, that phenomena can be change in size, the phenomena can be presence of some charge species near to the molecule or anything else. So what we have learned so far, that if due to any change in the surrounding, or due to electronegativity or some other factor, there is slight or complete displacement of electrons in a molecule which produce a temporary or permanent polarity in the molecule, then this effect will be known as electronic displacement effect. Now what this effect is responsible for? So what can electron displacement effect can cause, or can produce any effect in the molecule? So first, they can affect physical properties of a molecule. Means let's say melting point, boiling point, solubility, viscosity, etc. There are many physical properties which can get affected due to electronic displacement effect. Second, their chemical properties. Means their reactivity. Chemical properties means their reactivity. Means electronic displacement effect can make a molecule more reactive or can make a molecule less reactive, as well as it can change the course of reaction. Means suppose a non-polar molecule, like let's say the example of alkene and the example of carbonyl compound. Both are having a pi bond which is responsible for their reactivity, but alkenes are non-polar. On the other hand, carbonyl compounds are polar, because there will be complete shifting of electrons in another resonating structure. So the net effect will be, there will be development of partial charges. Carbon will be partially positive and oxygen will be partially negative. Now what is the effect of this polarity? If we see about the alkenes, they are reactive only towards electrophile. Means only electrophile can attack alkene, because alkenes are the source of easy electrons. They have pi bond which can be used to make a bond with some electron deficient species. So that electron deficient species, or we can call it electrophile, will attack on the alkene. So alkenes will be attacked only by electrophile. On the other hand, if we talk about carbonyl compounds, they have a negative end and they have a positive end. So the positive end can be attacked by positive end means it needs electron. So there will be some species which is looking for positive charge, that is nucleophile. So it can be attacked by nucleophile, that is electron rich species. And oxygen being a negatively charged species, it can be attacked by electrophile. So what does it mean? A polar molecule like carbonyl compound can be attacked both by electrophile as well as nucleophile, but an alkene can only be attacked by electrophile. So that means electronic displacement effects can change the physical properties as well as the chemical properties of a molecule. Now coming to the next thing, how many types of electronic displacement effects are there? So broadly we can classify electronic displacement effect in two types. They can be temporary effect and they can be permanent effect. There can be temporary effect or there can be permanent effect. What does it mean? Temporary effect means the effect that appears only at the time of attack of some species on the given molecule. If you study molecule in isolated environment, then there will not be any polarity on that molecule, or there will be lesser polarity on the molecule, but at the time of attack the molecule will acquire a greater polarity or it will become completely polar. Then in that case we will call it temporary effect. The another name of this effect is known as polarizability effect. Permanent effect means if you study the molecule in isolated environment, then too it will be polar or it will be charged or it will be acting as a dipole or quadrupole or tripole. Means the molecule will experience the electronic displacement effect without presence of any external species. There is no need of presence of any external species to exert this sort of effect. These effects are known as polarization effect. Means they can be polarizability or polarization effect. Now what are temporary effects? So basically there are two effects which are studied under the temporary effect, that is inductomeric effect inductomeric effect, and another is electromeric effect. In permanent effect, there are three effects which are studied. First, it can be inductive effect, it can be mesomeric effect, or it can be hyperconjugation. Hyperconjugation. So in nutshell, we can say we have to study 5 effects, that is inductomeric effect, electromeric effect, inductive effect, mesomeric effect, and hyperconjugation. Now what is the shorthand notation? Like these are names, but we have to represent some shorthand notation. Inductomeric effect is generally represented as ID, electromeric effect is generally represented as E, inductive effect is represented as I, mesomeric effect is represented by capital M, and hyperconjugation effect is represented by capital H, or in some cases HC. So we can represent it by H or HC. So mesomeric effect is M, inductive effect is I, inductomeric is ID, and electromeric effect is E. So these are the 5 important effects which we should study in order to understand organic chemistry very well. Now today's topic that we have to discuss in detail is inductive effect, that is I effect. Let's see what is inductive effect. So inductive effect, by definition, if we go for definition, it is slight displacement of sigma electron pair towards more electronegative atom or group so as to produce some polarity in carbon chain. Means, how can we define inductive effect? So it is the slight displacement of sigma electron pair towards more electronegative atom or group so as to produce some polarity in carbon chain. Means the effect is operated only through sigma bond. This is very important thing to note down. This effect is possible only in sigma electron pair, that is sigma bond. It is not involved anyhow in pi electrons or pi bonds, though it can appear in unsaturated system, but that only along with sigma bonds. So we are going to discuss this effect in detail. So first of all, let's understand the definition part. What is the definition part? It is the slight displacement of electron pair towards more electronegative atom or group so as to produce some polarity in carbon chain. Means the key point in this is electronegative, means the effect depends on the electronegativity of the element or electronegativity of the group. Means the determining factor or the governing factor of this group is electronegative. So anytime if you are going to think about inductive effect, you have to focus on the electronegativity of the attached atom or group along with carbon chain. Okay, so first let's say let's take a simple example like carbon. There are several carbons, and to this carbon suppose we attach a group, namely Z. Z can be more electronegative than carbon, or it can be less electronegative than carbon. So let's say electronegativity of Z is greater than electronegativity of carbon, means the electron pulling power of Z is greater than electron pulling power of carbon. So what will happen? This bond pair will go towards Z, so it will acquire a partial negative charge, and this carbon will acquire a partial positive charge. Now as far as these two carbons are concerned, suppose we name them C1, C2, C3, C4 and C5. So let's say there are two carbons C4 and C3 in isolated condition. Then the electronegativity of these two carbons are identical. So it will make a non-polar covalent bond, means the electron pair won't shift towards any carbon atom. It won't go towards C3, it won't go towards C4. But now take the case of C1. Due to electron pair movement towards Z, the C1 carbon has acquired some partial positive charge. Means the carbon which is near to this, that is C2 carbon, it is neutral, but the C1 carbon has a partial positive charge. So what will happen? Let's say this is carbon C2 and this is carbon C1. Now C1 has acquired some partial positive charge. Don't go for the magnitude of the charge, just try to understand that C1 is having a positive charge. On the other hand, C2 is completely neutral. So now due to this positive charge, C1 carbon will have a tendency to attract electron pair so that it can reduce its charge. The basic concept behind pulling electrons is to neutralize the positive charge, means the carbon which has acquired a positive charge wants to get neutralized. The reason is stability is inversely proportional to charge, means charged species are less stable than neutral species. So every charged species wants to get converted back into the neutral species. Now C1 is having a positive charge, partial positive charge, so it will have a tendency so that the electron pair between C1 C2 bond will shift slightly towards C1 carbon. Means beside being both the atoms identical, both are actually carbon atoms, but due to development of partial positive charge on C1 carbon, now C1 carbon wants to attract or wants to pull some electron towards itself. The result will be there will be some charge coming to the C1, so its partial positive charge will decrease slightly, but there will be development of slightest positive charge on the neighbor carbons. Means the magnitude is obviously greater for C1 and lesser for C2. Two delta signs coming together shows the magnitude is less. Like simple logic, when we multiply 0.1 by 0.1 we get 0.01. That is, a lesser number multiplied by a lesser number is giving a least number. So we can understand when we are writing two delta signs together, we are representing even a lesser charge than before. Means as the number of delta increases, the amount of charge decreases. Now coming back to the concept, what has happened here? Now we can say the electronegativity of C2 is less than electronegativity of C1 due to generation of charge, because now C1 carbon has acquired some partial positive charge, so it is acting to be more electronegative than neighbor carbon, though both the atoms are carbon, but just because of the charge the electronegativity increases. So we can make a simple rule: electronegativity increases with development of positive charge. Means if any species becomes positive, then its electronegativity will increase because it will have more tendency to attract electron pair towards itself. It can be understood in a simple physics manner like opposite charges attract. So now positive carbon will try to attract more electron pair, more bonded pair towards itself. So now just we have to study some salient features of uh, uh, inductive effect, like what we can say about inductive effect. So let's discuss the key points of inductive effect. First point, it operates only through the sigma bond framework. That is, it will act only through sigma bonds, or we can say only sigma bond electron will participate in the inductive effect. Second, it will create a weak polarity in the molecule. Means due to this, weak polarity will be created in the molecule. What does it mean by weak polarity? Because there are only partial charges will be generated. Only partial charges will be generated. Next point, it is a permanent effect. What does it mean? Means it is not dependent on the time frame. As the molecule will be formed in the universe, it will be operating in the molecule from the right time. Means it does not depend on presence of attacking species. And attacking species की presence, whatever the presence of attacking species, it doesn't make any sense to the inductive effect. It will be there. Fourth point, it is a stabilizing effect. What does it mean? What does it mean by saying it is a stabilizing effect? See, if any molecule is experiencing some inductive effect, then there will be gradual generation of charges which will be minimized or which will be neutralized by the neighboring atom. So ultimately it will stabilize the species, or it will stabilize the molecule as a whole. Fifth point, it is additive in nature. It is additive in nature. What does it mean? Suppose there is a carbon chain and there are groups attached to this carbon, that is Z1, Z2 and Z3. Suppose there are three groups, and let's say Z1, Z2 and Z3, they all have electronegativity greater than electronegativity of carbon. So what does it mean? It will pull electron towards itself, it will also pull electrons towards itself, and that same thing will happen with Z2. Suppose the effect created by Z3 is I3, by Z1 is I1 and by Z2 is I2. So the net effect will be I1 plus I2 plus I3. So the first point that we have to understand, what does it mean by being additive in nature? Means suppose there are more than one groups attached to a carbon chain, then the net effect will be the sum total of the effect exerted by individual groups. Also, it is a vector quantity. It is a vector quantity. Means it is having both magnitude as well as direction. So let's say there is a carbon atom and there is a group Z and suppose Y. Y is also pulling electron and Z is also pulling electron. Means suppose this is creating a effect of I1 and this is a creating a effect of I2. So on carbon the net effect will be I1 vector plus I2 vector, that is the vector sum of these two vectors, and obviously these two vectors are working in opposite direction. So net effect will be I1 minus I2 or I2 minus I1, whichever is greater. We have to write that first in order to get the positive result. So we have to consider two things in additive property. First of all, the magnitude of all the groups which are acting on the same carbon. Second, if the groups are working on a particular direction, on a particular angle, then the net effect will be the vector sum of these two or three or more than three groups which are attached to the carbon atom. Next point, it is dependent on the distance. Means this effect depends on the distance, and the relationship is the magnitude of eye effect is inversely proportional to distance. That is, as the distance increases, eye effect decreases. Means as the distance will increase, the magnitude or the amount or the extent of eye effect will decrease. Means suppose there are carbon chain and there is group Z, it is exerting some eye effect and the result is coming on the C1, C2, C3 and C4, then the effect will be greatest on C1 and it will be lesser for C2, even lesser for C3 and even lesser for C4 and so on if the carbon chain is there. So it is customary in organic chemistry that eye effect is neglected after 3 to 4 carbon atoms. Means after 3 to 4 carbon, the magnitude of eye effect becomes so small that we can neglect it. We don't need to consider the eye effect after 3 or 4 carbon atoms. Generally 3 carbon atoms are considered as a custom. Next point, it can be present in both saturated as well as unsaturated systems. That is, inductive effect can be present in saturated as well as in unsaturated system. Saturated means, suppose whatever we were taking right now, this is a saturated system, and suppose I make a benzene ring, this is a unsaturated system. Suppose the Z group is exerting some eye effect, then it will be operated through sigma bonds. So obviously saturated systems will be giving eye effect. That is easy to understand. Now suppose to this benzene ring there is a Z group is attached through a sigma bond, or maybe to a multiple bond, but we are taking only a sigma bond, and this is causing some eye effect. Now the electron will go towards Z, through this pattern. Means only sigma bonds will be participating in the eye effect, but the pi bonds will remain intact. Pi bonds won't participate in the, so we can say pi bond won't participate in inductive effect. Means pi bond won't participate in inductive effect, pi bond remains intact, but though the system is unsaturated, but unsaturated system or any carbon atom which is having a double bond or triple bond, we know very well that first condition is formation of a sigma bond, then only a pi bond can be formed. Similarly, there is formation of a sigma bond, then only pi bond. So sigma bond is always present in a molecule which is covalent molecule or which is a organic molecule. There can be additionally pi bonds may be present or may not be present. So if sigma bond is there, then eye effect will be there. The thing is, generally in unsaturated system there is mesomeric effect also takes place, and the magnitude of M effect is greater than eye effect in most of the cases. Means the extent of effect or the magnitude of effect is generally higher in case of mesomeric effect and lesser in case of inductive effect. So we generally consider M effect and we neglect eye effect. But there are so many phenomena, there are so many things which are in organic chemistry which can be answered only in terms of inductive effect, despite mesomeric effect is present there. Means mesomeric effect is there, we have to consider it. But to understand several topics, to understand several phenomena, we have to consider inductive effect as well. But in some cases where they don't contradict each other, we generally consider M effect and we neglect inductive effect. So the thing is, we have to consider both inductive effect and mesomeric effect. Now, how can we know that the given group is exerting some inductive effect or not? So the reference for a reference atom for describing I effect is taken to be hydrogen atom. Means hydrogen atom has been taken as a reference in order to understand, in order to explain the inductive effect. Means if we are to determine whether the inductive effect will be there or not, first of all we have to consider hydrogen as a reference. If hydrogen is there, then only we can call it as inductive effect, or hydrogen is working as a reference standard so that we can classify the given groups whether it will exert plus I effect or minus I effect. So the thing is, I effect can be of two types. It can be positive inductive effect, that is plus I effect, or it can be negative inductive effect, that is minus I effect, and the reference is hydrogen. So reference is hydrogen. Means on the basis of relative tendency as compared to hydrogen, the group may be minus I or the group may be plus I. So we have to discuss the plus I effect and minus I effect in detail. What are their groups? What does it mean by plus I effect and minus I effect? How the effect propagates through a carbon chain? All these things we will understand in the next video considering plus I or minus I effect.